Hi guys, Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive and GI Plus. Welcome to Monday's live stream. It is Monday. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is hang out, talk about the guitar, and today you guys are getting a sneak peek at the new Guitar Interactive set. You are the first people who've seen this. So if you're in the comments, we would love to hear from you. Let us know what you think our set is looking for. What you think our set's looking like. I think it's looking great. I'm really into it. Let us know your thoughts. We already have one Nick Jennison live from the sauna. I promise you it's not sauna. It does feel like one sometimes though. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about the topic of today's session in just a minute. But before we do, if you're just tuning in, hey, it's great to have you on board. Let us know if you're watching for the first time, where in the world you're tuning in from. If you'd love to hear from you, we've had viewers from all over the universe. We've had people from around the corner from my house, as far away as Southeast Asia, South America, both of the Americas, all over Europe. We've had viewers from South Korea, from Indonesia, from the Indian subcontinent. It's great. So if you're tuning in for the first time, love to know where you're watching from. And of course, if you're getting some use out of these streams, you'd like to support us, you can do so in a couple of ways. You can drop us a thumbs up on whatever platform you're watching on. It's probably YouTube, it's probably not Twitch. We do go live on Twitch, but I don't think anybody watches on Twitch. But if you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, drop us a like, drop us a comment, because the algorithm loves comments. And of course, consider sharing this stream with your guitar playing friends so we can get this out to as many guitar players as we possibly can. We love giving you guys these streams for free. So hey, if you're getting something out of them, consider sharing it with your fellow guitar players. And of course, you can check out GI Plus at the link that is down here somewhere. That is where you can go to get all of my lessons, including, but not limited to, Mastering Modes Part 1, the ultimate guide to melody and phrasing, technique hot fixes, and the upcoming series, Expressive Techniques Part 1. You didn't think we were going to do this and not leave something cool, did you? So yeah, Expressive Techniques Part 1, it is coming soon. And of course, you can get lessons from Andy James, from Ian Semo, from Tom Quayle, from Sam Bell, from Rick Graham, Andy Wood, you name it. They're all down there in GI Plus. If you're not subscribed, there has never been a better time to sign up. So on with the show. We're going to check in with the stream real quick, and then we're going to touch on the beginning of today's topic, which ironically is the middle of the note. More on that in just a moment. But for the time being, let's just check in with the stream and see who's joined us this evening. Roy Lisbon is first to the door. There's an interesting turn of events, right? Roy Lisbon's first to the door at 6:59 p.m. 1 hour and 1 minute early, Roy. Right on time. You've beaten both PJ and Marcin to the punch. Sacred Godslayer is tuning in. Hi all, hi Nick. Hey, it's great to see you, man. PJ is tuning in, says good evening, Roy, SGS, and everyone else. Larry Warren is joining us. Larry, I'm glad to hear you're having a better week than last week. Hope you're keeping well, my man. Thank you so much for joining us. Kim is not only in the stream, but Kim is also in the building. Kim is giving everybody a wave from off camera, etc. Who else do we have? Steve McPhee's in the house. Says, hey Larry, pleased to hear you're a bit better this week. I do love our little community. I love that you guys are here to kind of support each other, not just as guitar players, but for, you know, big events in your life, like one we talked about last week. David Yates says, hello everyone. Hey Nick, hope you are well. And of course, here's some food for thought from GI Towers. What's everyone been practicing this week? Let us know in the comments what you've been working on. Fingers crossed, if you watched last week's stream, you've been working on the beginning, the onset of your note. the beginning of the note. We're going to talk a little bit about something a bit different this week, but we will be touching on that in a moment. David Peterson is tuning in. Says, greetings, PJ. Says, back to basics for me with Lewis Turner. Now, that is not a course to sleep on. That's a great course. Very, very indeed. For you guys who don't know, PJ is referring to the Back to Basics course, which is part of GI Plus. It's by Lewis Turner. And I feel like it's perhaps underselling itself with the title because, yes, it is a course about the fundamentals, but it's really, really deep. And there's something in there for guitar players of all levels, right? You should really check that out to remember. And if you're not a member, you should be. Everyone's wondering where Marcin is. Is he still floored after listening to Steve Lynch? Steve Lynch, what a guitar player, man. Like a real underrated guy. David Yates says, Nick, live from the sauna. It does look a little bit like a sauna. Voice needs to be a little bit louder. Well, I'm not 100% in control of that. Let me just see if I can fix that. So we'll turn the volume up a little bit. Fingers crossed. If you guys can hear that a little bit better, let me know. I will address this simply by moving the microphone further towards my face. And we'll turn the volume up just a little bit. Hopefully that is going to fix things for you guys. Let me just check it in my audio. Yeah, it is a little bit quiet. So let's turn that up a little bit. Let's see if we can make that a bit better for you. Fingers crossed. If the audio is a wee bit better now, then do let me know. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that's sorted it out. What else do we have? Talking volume needs to go up. Getting a little bit of choppy audio. Hey, it's one of those things, right? We are, my audio is breaking up. Never mind. We'll fix that as we go on. People use the term face melting, but that jam between you and Tom set the definition. Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. We're actually sleeping on a few more of those jams. We've got them in the bag, right? They are in there. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way? Are we still getting some buzzing issues? Fingers crossed this is sounding a little bit better. Hopefully we're there. Unfortunately, we are running with a slightly improvised audio set today, so let me know if this is working a little bit better. I'm going to play just a tiny bit more. If you guys can hear the guitar and you can hear the dialogue in the backing track okay, then we're good to go. So I'm going to play just a teeny tiny bit. You guys let me know in the comments if you can hear me okay. Hopefully that's sounding a little bit better. Are you guys hearing that okay? Are you hearing it okay? Fingers crossed, we're all right. So anyway, we're going to press on. We will do our best to fix the audio issues as we go, such as they are. So anyway, let's get into the meat of today's stream. So today's stream, we're continuing on from last week's stream, which was on the subject of the beginning of the notes. The beginning of the notes. That sounds good. Excellent. Cool. Guitar is fine. Voice sounds like it's going through a fuzz. It could be a bad vocal lead. Well, stick with me. Fingers crossed that is going to improve as we go on. Maybe clipping a little bit. Maybe I need to just move this a little bit further away from me. That could be something to do with it. So anyway, if you can understand what I'm saying, you'll have to stick with me on the slightly fuzzy voice. As long as you can understand what we're talking about, then hopefully we're good. And if the guitar sounds good, that's the important bit. So anyway, on with the topic of today's stream. So last week we talked about the idea of the beginning of the notes. Now, I was going to do a whole stream last week on the beginning, the middle, and the end of a note. But we spent so long talking about the beginning of the note that I decided to dedicate a whole nother stream, which is this stream, to the end of the note. Or the middle of the note, rather. The end of the note is coming next week. So the middle of the note is something we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, let's recap what we talked about the beginning of our notes last week. Now, we talked about the idea of onsets in terms of pitch, in terms of the approach to the note dynamically, i.e. how hard do we hit the note, how much crunch we allow in the beginning of the note, i.e. how pronounced that transient is, the beginning of the note, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's do a little bit of a jam on that, right? We're going to jam in E minor. Now, this is our Joe Bonamassa style backing track. You can use any of our backing tracks for this, but we're going to stick with this one today. If you guys can hear it okay, then fingers crossed we're going to be able to jam along. So, Joe Bonamassa style backing track in key B. We're going to experiment with starting off phrases with different onsets. Let's just do a quick recap on pitch onsets. We're going to go to the close-up count for this. We're going to be in E minor. If you wanted to jam along in E minor pentatonic, you could easily do that in this box position. And if you want to play somewhere else, you absolutely can. E Dorian would work really well for this. But an easy place to start would be by basing yourself around the 12th fret and playing 15-12, 15-12, 14-12, 14-12, 14-12, 15-12. That would be an easy place to begin for this. So we're going to start by experimenting with the idea of approaching our pitches from below. So we're going to start each of our phrases with a sweep in from beneath. Now, ways you can achieve this is by the slide. If you have a bar, you can dip the bar and slide it in, or you can bend into the beginning of the pitch. Whatever feels best for you, you're going to experiment with these, and we're going to start with sliding or shifting or bending or whatever into the beginning of the pitch. Let's take a listen to that now, right? And I'm going to give you guys a chance to play along. So, I'm going to go first. Then we're shifting in from the beginning of the note, shifting into the beginning of the note from below, Let's try it again. Your turn, below. This time we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to shift in from above. Ways we can achieve this are by sliding down. We can pre-bend and release, or if you have a bar, you can pull the bar up and let it go down to the desired pitch, or you could fret above the pitch that you want and dive the bar down to the pitch that you want to achieve. Obviously, don't have a bar on this guitar, so I can't demonstrate that, but we're going to play with it anyway. So we're going to experiment with approaching from above, just to get these back into our vocabulary. So let's play with that for now. And this time I'm going to do some free bends. Turn. We're going to leave that there. Now, the next thing we're going to experiment with real quick is we are going to experiment with the amount of crunch or the amount of pick attack at the beginning of our note. Now, ways we talked about this were by maybe doing something like this, where we maybe start with a volume swell to go with our least possible pick attack. Or where maybe we dig in with our pick to get the most possible pick attack by raking across several strings, maybe like this. The most possible pick attack, and every color in between. We also talked about the idea of using legato techniques like hammer-ons and pull-offs to minimize the amount of crunch at the start of our note. Versus and also using hybrid picking with the right hand to achieve the same effect. Let's just very, very quickly jam with this. So I'm going to throw this on real quick. Again, I'm going to play with this mic position, see if I can get the voice right about where we need it to be. We are having some difficulty with the audio tonight, so do stick with us. But for the time being, let's experiment with lots of attack in our pick attack. Lots of attack at the start of the note. Again, we're in E minor. I'm going to start. Then this time, not so much attack. Your turn. just kill that there. So that's a little bit, hopefully, that's a little bit of a recap on, do me a favor and bring the mic right close to your mouth so we can see if it clears up right at your gob. Well, there we go. We're getting orders from on high, so let's throw that up there, see if that's any better. If this is any better for you guys, fingers crossed it is, let me know. Probably the mic works when I play, but never mind. Anyway. So as long as you guys can hear what's going on, then fingers crossed we're all good. So, now, we've talked about the beginning of our note, we've talked about the onset, the attack of our note. Let's move on to the subject of today's stream, which is the middle of the note. So what I want from you guys in the comment section is I want you to let me know in the comment section what you think is the most important thing to do to the middle of a note, the body of the note, when it's time to play some expressive lines. Well, would you look at that? The mic was just a bit too far away. Hey, you know what it is? It's live TV, folks. So fingers crossed, if this is working, if it's better, then we will stick with that. If it's not good for the mic, well, we've got differing opinions. But hopefully, fingers crossed, the mic up here close to me is at least intelligible. So at least if you can hear me, then we're good. We're going to leave that for now. We're going to leave that. If it's workable, we're going to stick with it. So what I want to know from you, once again, is I want to know in the comment section, what is the most important thing to do in the middle of the note? I'm going to do some stuff. I'm going to play some stuff. I'm going to switch back tracks to this D minor backing track we've got going on. And I'm going to play some different ideas in the middle of my note. And I want you to let me know what you think is the most important thing when it comes to being expressive with the bulk of the note, the middle of the note. Let's take a listen. It sounds something like this. We're going to jam with that track in a little bit, but let's tune in with the comment section and see what you guys have got for us in terms of the most important thing to do with the middle of the note. And I'm suspecting we're going to get some of the usual suspects here, and that's not that any of these is wrong, because there is a lot of very obvious stuff to talk about here, but there is some things that maybe I'm going to highlight for you guys that you might not have thought about before, So Steve McD says sustained vibrato. That's a good one. That's a really, really good one. Another one from T. What's that? T MIDI man. I like that. That's a good name. Fully fret the note. That's an interesting one. So we've got a couple of suggestions there. We've got vibrato. We've got a little bit on fully fretting the note. Vibrato is one of them. But let's actually get into what's going on there with the vibrato. So the vibrato thing, I guess what you consider that is kind of essentially the pitch contour of your notes. The pitch contour of your notes is what you do once we've established the note in terms of like what goes on with the pitch there. Is it vibrato? Are we bending? Are we doing anything to the pitch of the note? Is there anything going on in the middle? So let's maybe talk about vibrato for a little bit, and then we'll maybe talk a little bit more about our pitch contour. But is there anything to the tone of the note that we need to think about? I want your suggestions in the comments. Let me know what you think about the tone of the notes, etc., etc. So for the time being, vibrato. Now, we talked about this before. We've talked about the idea of vibrato essentially being composed of a few parameters that we can play with. Now, the first parameter, the most obvious parameter, is the width of the vibrato. So the width of our vibrato is quite simply how far we're bending each individual pitch. So for an example of that, if we were taking a vibrato on this D note here, which is going to be on fret number 15 on our B string, if we play this note and then we apply a shallow vibrato, we might get something like this. Now, if you look at that in a tuner, we're only shifting the pitch by a very, very small amount. Very, very small amount. Now, if we were to turn that into a very, very wide vibrato, we could shift it as much as a tone or even more. Or we might get something like this. Or even something like this. Just getting more into that kind of Zach Wild camp of things where we've got that clunk at the end. We don't want the clunk. But even still, right? So we might have that sort of vibe going on. Now, we can also play with our vibrato in terms of the speed. So how fast our vibrato is. And these two elements kind of play off against each other in that the faster our vibrato is and the wider our vibrato is, the more perceptibly vibratoed the note is. So an example might be if we play a very, very slow but wide vibrato versus a very, very shallow but fast vibrato, we get kind of a perceptibly the same amount, if that makes sense. It's the same intensity, but it has a different kind of emotional impact. So let's do that along the backing track. And we're going to play just one or two notes with this, but we're going to stick with D minor pentatonic for argument's sake. So in D minor pentatonic, I'm going to play a few pitches, and I'm going to begin with some slow, wide vibrato, and then we're going to do some shallow, fast vibrato. We'll compare the difference. So let's take a listen to that now. Here we go. Vibrato. I want to know first of all, real quick, which one did you prefer, first of all? Which one were you more into, right? Which one did you prefer? Did you prefer the shallow, faster vibrato, or did you like the wider, slower vibrato? In this context, everyone's trying to fix this mic. Let me just move this real quick, right? I'm going to see if I can fix this for you guys right here, because this mic is getting right on my bananas. So let's move it, and let's see if we can fix it and make it a little bit better for ourselves. Apologies about the rustling going on, but this is all that's going on in the comment section right now is talk about this mic. Let's see if that's better. Fingers crossed that's better. So we've got some stuff going on there, right? We've got some preference for the wide vibrato, but most importantly, Sacred God Slayer said here, on this track, the wider vibrato is better. Now, let's quickly compare that. Let's go to another one, right? So we're going to go to a track in C minor. This is going to be a blues, right? And we'll see what we feel about the wide versus the shallow vibrato on this track. This is interesting. Here's a shallow vibrato. Here comes the wide vibrato. Now, again, what's interesting here is that the faster vibrato seems to sit a little bit tidier in our blues versus the wide vibrato, which is set a little bit nicer in our rock track. It is kind of context dependent. It's one of these, kind of context dependent. But I guess what we can deal with here is we're dealing with two vibrati of similar intensity, but where we choose to place it in terms of the spectrum of like fast and shallow through to like slow and wide is kind of dependent on the context. Now, that's trying to keep the intensity the same, but we can also change this up so we can explore like the very, very shallow, very slow end of vibrato, and also the very fast and very wide end, because there are appropriate times for that too. So, for example, if we were to go really, really wide and really, really fast, that might be kind of inappropriate on a track like the one we just played, which would be like this one. Again, in C minor. Not really the move, to be honest. But what we can do is we can apply that on a track which maybe sounds something like this. This is maybe more of like kind of a hard rock sort of thing. Let's do, where is it? You know what? Let's do this one. This is the, this is in D Phrygian dominant 6/8. So there, in that kind of like more like really, really aggressive kind of context, the more extreme end of our vibrato is actually really, really cool. So that's kind of the Zach Wilde sort of thing. But I guess we can also go in the opposite direction, where maybe we go to the very, very slow and also very shallow end, which can sound a little bit kind of like anemic, I guess, on these metal type tracks, but we can do it on something like this, for example, which is a slow blues. We're in B minor for this one, or B dominant at least. We might guess, oh, this is the wrong one. Wrong track. I meant for the one immediately above. So we're in B, it's going to go like this. Context dependent is this one. However, there are some other parameters we can play with, and it's not just about vibrato. We've talked about the width of the vibrato, but is there any other stuff that we can do to our vibrato? I want to know from you guys, any other stuff that we do to our vibrato when it comes to like kind of coloring the middle of our notes? What about when we apply the vibrato? Is that a thing we can play with? Well, let's go back to our D minor track, and we're going to jam together over this. So hopefully you got your guitar still. We're going to go to our D minor track, and we're going to play initially with the idea of applying our vibrato instantly. As soon as we hit the note. As soon as we get to the note, we're going to put the vibrato on it. So let's take a listen to that. And I'm going to give you a chance to kind of like jam along with this as well. So we're in D minor pentatonic will do just fine. Vibrato straight away. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Your turn. I'm going to go to the close-up cam for this. Alright, let's do it again. Vibrato straight away at the start of the nose. Your turn. Let's change it up. This time we're going to play with the idea of applying our vibrato right at the very end of our notes. We're going to let the note hang, and then we're going to apply our vibrato when we get to the end of the pitch. Let's take a listen to that and see how we get on. And again, you're going to get a chance to jam along with this, so make sure you have your guitar handy. Here we go. Vibrato at the end of the notes. turn. Your turn. Let's stop that there. So once again, we've got another little parameter that we can play with when it comes to our vibrato. Guys, we're going to take just a quick second. I'm going to throw something on real quick for you guys to watch, and we're going to take a look at this and see if we can fix the audio on this microphone, because that is getting on my nerves right now, right? And I'm showing you guys, he's filling up our comment section with guesses as to what might be wrong. So we're going to take a moment and we can see if we can fix it. For the time being, take a quick look at this, right? I want to show you some of the stuff that's available to you as a GI Plus member. So if you're interested in joining GI Plus, which you should be, because it's full of absolutely amazing stuff, you might take a look at some of the tech sessions that we have on offer. Here's just a small selection of some of mine. Let's take a look at this right now. When we come back, we'll be continuing our discussion on the middle of the notes. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we have remedied the issue. Guys, let me know in the comments if you can hear my voice a little bit better. I want to know from you. We are trying our absolute best to get this working. Guitar's still going. Hopefully you can still hear the guitar and the backing track and all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments if that's a little bit clearer for you. I hope it is. Fingers crossed. We're just going to very quickly check this at the StreamYard end. I may need to knock it up a teeny tiny bit here. See if that's any better. It's gone a little bit quiet, but hopefully we are working. Hey, fabulous. Right, there we go. We got there in the end. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. Technical issues, it's one of those things. So anyway, listen, right, let's get back to it. Let's not let that get in the way of a good learning experience and a good stream. So back to the lesson in question. Yeah, I love it when things go wrong. Anyway, so back to the lesson in question. One thing that I did want to show you with that tech session stuff is the vibrato and the importance of the vibrato when it comes to nailing the styles of a particular player, I guess. So if you were interested in learning the idiosyncrasies of a particular guitar player, maybe you want to nail the Yngwie Malmsteen vibrato or the Peter Green vibrato, etc., 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 you'll find out how to do that in the tech sessions, which are part of your GI Plus membership. Anyway, let's get back on with it. So now that we're talking about the middle of the note, we've addressed vibrato. That's done, right? That's put aside. What else can we do to the middle of our note to make it sound interesting? What else can we do to the middle of our note to kind of sound more expressive, I guess? So with our expressive techniques, what can we do with the middle of the note to make it sound, I don't know, more expressive? I'm going to throw our backing track on, hopefully give you some ideas. While we're here, let me know if you can still hear the guitar in the backing track. God, please say yes. Fingers crossed. So if you can still hear this guitar in this backing track, let me know. Let's add some more stuff into the mix. All right, so we've got some suggestions coming in. We've got some good suggestions, in fact, some very, very good suggestions. These are all to do with the tone of the note, and this is kind of where I wanted to go with this stream before we had all those technical issues, but it's where I'm determined I'm going to take us. So the body of the note is really where the tone of what we're playing lives, the tonality of what we're playing. What you might think about is it's almost like vowels and consonants, I guess, where the beginning of the note, is kind of like a consonant. It's maybe like a T and a C and the sounds that you get when you're talking, whereas the middle of the note, the body of the note, is the vowel. It's the E, R, etc. Now, the way we color this vowel is going to have an effect on it's going to have a downstream effect on all of our other stuff, but particularly on the way our vibrato sounds, on the way the note affects a listener, and we've had some very good suggestions about how we might alter those as we go on. So let's see. For example, our friend, I'm going to try my best to pronounce this, Mal Riley, hopefully I got that right. Mal Riley says harmonics. Harmonics are a really great way to address the middle of our note. Steve McD says alter volume. That is a cool way of doing things. Altering the volume. Is there anything else that we can do to alter the tone, let's say, of the note we're playing? And I'm going to restrict this by saying let's not do anything apart from to the guitar. So we can change anything we like on the guitar. Let's not change anything downstream. Let's not talk about putting pedals on or changing the amp or anything like that. So whatever comes out of this cable, that's where it ends. So anything we can do to that. Now we've got some really great suggestions, but let's begin with exploring harmonics and the effect of the harmonic on the sound. Now Craig's got a really great suggestion on this, which is altering the angle of the pick. Now let's show you what I'm on about here. So altering the angle of the pick. and particularly altering the angle of the pick and the amount of pick on the string and the amount of finger on the string as you play is going to give you a different amount of harmonic content depending upon where you play on the string, kind of how hard you play, how much thumb you have on the string, or how much finger you have on the string versus how much pick. Let's begin by exploring a very pure tone. And the way we're going to get this is by not having a whole lot of finger contact with the string. We're going to play with a fairly flat pick sound, and we're going to play with a moderate amount of attack, right? A moderate amount of attack. We're not going to really, really lay into the strings. Let's go back to D minor, and we're going to see if we can get some fairly pure tones. I'll show you what I mean, and then I'm going to give you a chance to play along with this, to get your guitars handy. Here we go. Turn, we're in D minor still in D minor. So sticking with those pure tones, here we go. Your turn. Show you how to contrast this in a moment. Stick with me, I'll show you how to contrast this in a moment. All right, let's finish that there. So next up, we're going to contrast this against some very, very harmonically rich type tones. Now, you may be wondering, how do I get that? Well, this is something guys did in the 80s all the time, and I love the way it sounds, right? All the way through into the 90s, it seemed to kind of fall out of fashion. But what you might do is you might start angling your pick and letting a little bit of finger come into contact with the string. It's going to be the difference between this note, which is our pure tone, versus this. You can hear that kind of chirpy, squawky sound that we have going on. It almost sounds like this wah pedal on our tone, I guess. Now, the way we get that, again, is by almost playing a pinched harmonic. We're not quite playing a pinched harmonic, but we're getting just a teeny tiny touch of that in our sound. So let's experiment with that real quick. Let's fret the 7th fret, or any fret you like, but I'm going to do the 7th fret and the G string. Let's start by playing it just fairly straight, without any additional harmonic content on top of it, like this. Now let's play it as a pinched harmonic, and let's just experiment with finding that. There's loads of ways we can play it. That makes sense? Now, once we've done that, let's try getting that pinched harmonic position, and let's try going between the pinched harmonic type setup that we've just done and a kind of pure flat picking tone. But let's not just go directly from one to another. Let's do it as like a slider. So we'll do it almost as a fader from like all the way to pinched harmonic through to no pinched harmonic. And let's see what we get, because we get some really, really interesting results. We might get something like this. Here's non. Here's fully pinched harmonic. And let's go between the two. Somewhere within there is this little sweet spot where if you play the note and you get it just right, it's going to absolutely howl, and it'll sound something like this. Now this is going to have downstream effects. We've got a great one. Very quickly, I'm going to hit this up. This is Domenico. Domenico Nitti says you hit with the pick and the nail. 100% you do. You hit with the pick and the nail of this finger. I wish I could show you this real quick. There's another one. Alex Skolnick's slight harmonics. That's an interesting way of doing it. Now here's another one. Wish I could play them with the neck pickup tone, but they don't sound well. Pinched harmonics don't come out super well on the neck pickup, and I'll talk to you about the physics about that in a moment, about why that is. But this stuff, this little kind of like partial harmonic thing, comes out really well on the neck pickup if you get it just right. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's the neck pickup. Let's go to the same fret. Let's try doing some partial harmonics. It's like how to sound like Billy Gibbons in one step. Let's play those partial harmonics on the neck pickup. So it can be done in the neck pickup. It absolutely can be done in the neck pickup. There's a reason why pinched harmonics don't leap out quite so well on the neck pickup, and we'll get to that in a moment. There's a physics reason for it. It's all to do with the positioning of the pickup relative to the guitar's bridge and relative to where you're actually doing the harmonic. But we'll get to that. We'll come back to that because that's a good question. I am going to extend this, by the way, guys, because we had ages with technical issues in the start of these, in the start of this stream. So we'll run on a little bit later. We'll maybe run an extra 15, 20 minutes, and we'll push the Q&A back to maybe the top of the hour. So if you have questions, we'll address those at the top of the hour. We'll maybe do another 15 minutes on this, and then we'll go a little bit further. So let's carry on with this little discussion. So we've done that. This has downstream effects on things like your vibrato. So real quick, if I play a flat pitch, just like kind of like a fairly non-harmonically rich note, and I start bending, it can sound pretty cool, but it can sound quite smooth, and like the vibrato is very even and doesn't really evolve as it goes on, like this. But if I take my vibratoed notes and I add a little bit of this harmonic content in there, it can actually make the note evolve as the vibrato is applied. So we can get this sort of thing. Which is really cool. That has a big positive downstream effect on the sound of your vibrato, but also on the sound of things like slides, on the sound of the sustain. There is, as Craig's pointing out quite rightly, there is some stuff to do with the amp that kind of affects this. But again, we're not really talking about the amp side of things yet. We may come back to that. But let's jam with this real quick. So we're going to throw the backing track back on. We're going to jam in D minor, and we're going to play with the idea of using some of these not quite harmonics along with our vibrato to color our note and let it evolve as it sustains. This is really quite cool as well because it's a good way to stop yourself from overplaying, because you kind of get lost in the sound of your vibrato. You're like, I'm really enjoying this vibrato, it's really great. And then you end up like wanting to do more with that rather than wanting to play more notes. Certainly it's a way that I prevent myself from overplaying with moderate degrees of success, because I like to play lots and lots of notes. But anyway, we're in D, let's jam together, right? Your turn. All right, my turn again. Your turn. Now, because it got mentioned, let's do the neck pickup. Okay, my turn. Your turn. All right. Let's move away from that. Let's move away from that because harmonics aren't the only way that we can influence the tone of our note, right? It's part of it, it's a big part of it, but we can influence our vowel and we can take a look at the downstream effect that has on our vibrato with our harmonic touch, but we can also influence our note in a bunch of other different ways. There's a very, very obvious one right here, right? This is our pickup selector. Your pickup selector is it's a really powerful tone shaping tool in that it essentially allows you to let the guitar speak with different vowels, right? So some people may have, I don't know, let's maybe talk about people who make the guitar speak, make the guitar sing. One of those kind of like elements is people who can make the guitar sound like a human voice. I guess that's kind of part of it. And part of that is what we do with the tone of our notes, what we do with the perceived vowel of our note, and we can get a lot of mileage out of the pickup selector of that. Now, one of the reasons Malmsteen sounds so great, I know we don't often think of Malmsteen as the guy when it comes to expression, but like Yngwie's a really, really expressive guitar player, and he has this really cool trick where he'll be playing stuff on the neck pickup and then flip to the bridge pickup to make the notes scream. Now, it's a little harder to do on a Les Paul type setup like we have on this PRS P25, P250, no, what's it called? P245. A little harder to do in here. It's really easy to do on a Strat because it's right here, but you can still do it. We'll do some interesting stuff with this. So let's see what we get with this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to contrast my neck pickup against my bridge pickup, but I'm going to try and do it mid-phrase. Right, mid-phrase. And I want you to do the same. So get your guitar handy. What we're going to do is we're going to use a sustained note as an opportunity to flip the pickup selector, maybe from neck to bridge, or maybe back from bridge to neck. You can do this a lot if you want. You can do it loads and loads mid-phrase. It actually sounds really, really cool. So you might get something like this, for example. I used to do it way too much, but then I ended up playing guitars where the pickup selector is a bit further away. I don't do it quite so much, but it's still very, very cool. It's a very cool trick. So let's see, same track, D minor, here we go. Your turn. All right, my turn. Your turn. My turn. Your turn. Now, the pickup selector is only one of these. Pickup selector is only one of these, right? But you can get some really, really cool results out of it. Here's another one. Here's another one we could do. What about if we have a little bit of a play with our volume control? Now, the volume control is really cool because the volume control essentially allows you to, I like to think about it as determining, I guess, how much, it's a bit like if the sound was like a hose, like a fire hose, and you get to determine how open or closed the fire hose is, and you're putting the fire hose of note onto your amp, which is the fire, I guess. Oh, if I can't start a fire, what are the chances of that? Yeah, there we go. That's just cool right there. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Here's another one. Nick Johnson switches notes switches pickups while playing one note as well. We don't talk about Nick Johnson. I had the name first. I'm joking. Nick Johnson's a great guitar player, but I am older than him, so I had the Nick Johnson thing before he did. He's just a wee bit more famous than I am. But anyway, never mind. No, he's a great guitar player. He's a nice guy too. So no, I joke about that, but no ill intent is meant by that at all. He's wicked, great guitar player, and a really cool example of exactly what we're talking about here. Malmsteen is one of those guys. George Lynch is another one of those guys talking about lynches. Who else does it? Zach does it all the time. It's killer, right? It's really good. Anyway, let's move on. So we're talking about the volume control. We're talking about the fire hose of tone. If we go to a blues, we can really influence the sound of our notes with the volume control. So here's an example, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to start playing some quiet notes with my volume control wide up. Then I'll play some loud notes with my volume control dialed back. We're going to get the same amount of genuine, like kind of general loudness, I guess. Not genuine, general loudness. But the tone is going to be different. So let's take a listen, right? Here's some quiet notes with the volume control way up. Here's some loud notes with the volume control back down. Notice there's a big difference in the tone there. It almost feels like when we turn the volume control back, like the sound is being slightly throttled. I guess it's almost like we've closed off the fire hose. That's pretty cool. That's a fun thing to play with. So we're going to go to a blues, right? Let's go to a slow blues in B. We're going to be in the key of B. B minor pentatonic or B major pentatonic will work great with this. The theme for this next little jam is going to be volume control and what we do with our volume control. Let's see what effect that has on our tone. Here we go. Go a little bit longer this time. I'm going to my neck pickup for the next example, but we're going to stick with the volume control, and I'm going to really play with it a lot in this next pass. All right, here we go. Plenty time to experiment with this. Bridge pickup for me. I'm going to split the coils in this guitar too, because why not? All right, more volume control action. Remember, volume control is the theme. All right. Let's just turn that down. Okay. So, an interesting facet of the volume control is not only does it change the tone of the note. Eddie Van Halen famously replaced his volume knob with a tone knob, by the way. Didn't actually replace it with a tone knob circuit, he just replaced the actual knob because he felt like it didn't really do anything to the volume, it just changed the tone. And I kind of agree. I feel like that's the kind of thing. We think about it as, you know, a tone altering tool rather than a volume altering tool, unless we're playing very clean. People talk about cleaning the guitar up with the volume knob all the time, but what something the volume knob enables us to do that we can't really do with just our fingers is it enables us to change the intensity or the volume of a note once we've already picked it. So what we could do is we can play a loud note and then back it down while the note is sustaining, which gives us a really interesting kind of, it's kind of an effect that really virtuosic singers will do. It's called a messa di voce, where maybe they'll sing really loud and then just pull it back to a teeny tiny little note. Or the opposite, where maybe we'll have like a very, very small note and we'll balloon it up into a really big, killer sounding loud note. And we can even do both. We can sweep up to a big note and then pull it back, or we can start with a big note, pull it back, and then bring it back in loud. So we can get things like this, for example, that we couldn't do with just our fingers, where we might play. If you can do that with your fingers, then power to you, because we can't really adjust. We can absolutely adjust the dynamic of a note with our fingers. We can play softer or louder and stuff. That's absolutely something we can do, but we can't do it mid-note. We can't change it once we've already applied the attack, which is a really interesting thing to play with. Another thing we can do is we can play with our tone control, the underutilized high roll-off filter that we've got on most guitars. A lot of fun to be had with that too. So for example, if we were playing our blues, we can play with the idea of our volume control and our tone control. I'll just do a very quick pass playing with both, show what I'm talking about. And to keep it nice and specific, I'm going to stick on just the bridge pickup so you can hear exactly what's going on. And then we'll talk about how you actually develop these ideas, because that's the important bit. It's no good me saying, hey, you know, just do this stuff. Here's a lot of ideas you can have, if I don't show you how to actually use them. So let's play. Volume control, tone control being the theme. So one pickup, volume control, tone control, a rainbow of tonal variation. So like loads and loads of stuff we can play with here, right? So we're not going to get too far into the weeds with this stuff, but let me talk to you about how you might actually practice this. First of all, any suggestions from the comments who are regular viewers of ours who might know how I might like to practice this stuff, because I have some suggestions, right? I have some suggestions, but I want to know if you've been paying attention, right? So we talked about this in previous streams. It's not something that we've talked about in this stream, so don't worry, you haven't missed anything when the mic was going all funny. What I might suggest in terms of practicing this stuff is to do our usual deal of setting a framework of limitations. And this is going to be a framework of limited focus. Now, we are going to set aside, let's say, 30 minutes to work on this stuff. We're not going to do it on camera for you now, but I may do like a minute of it. You're going to pick a backing track, and any backing track will do. We've got GI backing tracks. Blue Sumlin loves them, by the way. He's been playing to loads and loads and loads of GI backing tracks. Glad to hear it, man. Blue Sumlin is a regular viewer of ours and a great guitar player and a great friend of the stream in his own right. And we've got loads of backing tracks for free. So if you want backing tracks, you can go and check them out on the Guitar Interactive YouTube channel. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll find all of our backing tracks for free. And if you want to watch them ad-free, you can do so on GI+. Don't even have to pay. You don't even have to be a member to watch them ad-free. You can just go to the link down below. You'll find the backing tracks. You can watch them ad-free. But if you like watching adverts, you can watch them on YouTube too. So that's fine. Or if you're a YouTube Premium subscriber, you can get around that. There's a little cheat. But what we're going to do is we're going to pick a backing track, and you're going to pick a particular idea, a particular facet that we want to work on. Maybe it might be harmonic, the amount of harmonic we add to a note, right? We're going to pick that as our facet, and we're going to use the first 5 minutes to practice that. Then we're going to move on to another facet, which might be vibrato. Then we're going to move on to another idea, which might be something like volume control. Now, if you play for 5 minutes, just focusing on your volume control usage, you are going to come up with some stuff, right? You can come up with some things. And if you work on all of these ideas all at once, what you can then do is in your final 5 minutes, you can sum up and you can work on combining all the ideas that you've worked on in your previous 25 minutes. You can evaluate what worked and what didn't work, and you can do that throughout the practice session. That's going to be your guiding locus that we'll get to in a moment. So not locust, but locus. So let's talk about that. So let's say I was going to practice this stuff. I'd set myself a half hour. I like this blues backing track, so maybe I'll play along to that, but it can be anything. Doesn't matter what it is. And I'm going to begin by spending 5 minutes focusing on what I'm doing with my pickup selector. That's going to be the theme. I'm going to play whatever I want, but it has to be all centered around doing cool stuff with this pickup selector. Next 5 minutes, I'm going to do cool stuff with my tone control, etc. Then I'm going to do cool stuff with the amount of harmonic I'm playing on the string and all that stuff. Now, in the final 5 minutes, I'm going to sum it up. I'm just going to kind of go over the ideas I've played. But here's the deal. When I'm doing this, I am listening and evaluating all the way through. And everything I play, I'm judging it on a single criteria, one single criteria. And the criteria is, do I like this? People don't ask themselves this question enough. Doesn't matter if anybody else likes it. Doesn't matter if it's like, does that sound like insert player ABC XYZ? Does this feel like it fits the rules of what I'm trying to play? That doesn't matter. None of that matters. The question is, do I like this? And if you play something you like, you got it. If you play something you don't like, that's fine. That's also cool, because what you can do there is you can go, I didn't like that. Why didn't I like that? And how can I avoid playing that again? This is all narrowing down on our ultimate goal as guitar players, which is playing stuff that you like most of the time and playing stuff that you like, stuff that you don't like less of the time. Because really, I mean, isn't that what everybody wants? Just playing stuff that's cool, playing stuff that you really, really like, and not playing stuff that you don't like. I think that's the essence of artistry, to be honest, but hey, that's guitar for you. Anyway, so we're going to play just a little bit longer, and we're going to sum up this stuff. So we're going to go back to our D minor backing track. We are going to jam, we're going to sum up, and then once we've done this, I want your questions, because we're going to do a Q&A session. It's a little bit later than we normally would, but we had all those difficulties at the start, so I'm going to run late for you guys. Drop your questions down below. We'll do a full Q&A session a little bit later on. We've got some great comments coming in, so drop your questions down below. We'll do full Q&A. In the meantime, let's jam. We're going to sum up all of these ideas. Pickup selector, amount of harmonic, vibrato, how much, how little, how fast, how slow, etc., etc., etc. Volume control, tone control. Let's see what we can come up with. We're going to play along with this rock track because it's cool, and we've played it all night, so we're in D minor. Let's jam together. I'll give you plenty space to do your own thing too. Here we go. Your turn. And my turn. Your turn. My turn. Your turn. Lost the note at the end there, but that's okay. It happens, we take risks on streams. It's a big risk with the sound at the start. Alright, my turn. Turn. That's such a great first song on this track, man. I'm gonna split the coil. My turn. Your turn. Bring it way down. Good time to clean the guitar up, I think. Good time to roll your volume control back. My turn. Your turn. Pay some attention to my vibrato in this next one, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. My turn. Your turn. You can have the last word on this. Alright, let's stop that there. Let's stop that there. So that's great fun. Really, really great fun. That's been a little bit of a look at the middle of the note. I have a feeling I may want to revisit this because I don't think we've really done all of the middle of the note, just yet. I feel like we've done some of it, but I don't think we've done all of it. So we may come back to this, but in the meantime, we're going to go to the Q&A. But before we do that, I want to show you this. This is a real quick look at Ian Simo's slide guitar for standard tuning. When we come back, Q&A. Drop your questions down below. Love to hear from you.
Hi, my name is Ian Simo and I'd like to share with you my course on slide guitar for standard tuning. This is a 10-part series in which we're going to explore the essential slide hand techniques and pick and hand techniques. We're also going to take a look at rhythm playing with the slide. So we're going to look at how to integrate the slide with major and minor triads. Really enjoyed putting this series together. It comes complete with some backing tracks for all of the example phrases and exercises so you can practice along, and it comes complete with tablature and notation for all the example phrases and exercises. So if you've been interested in getting into slide, I highly encourage you to check out this course, this 10-part series on slide guitar for standard tuning.
So there you go. You want to check out some slide guitar in standard tuning. Ian Simo is your man. That's available as part of your GI Plus membership. I'm working on this course, right? I'm playing this course myself. It is so good, right? I wanted to do a course on slide myself. I thought, hey, maybe I'll put one together. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, no, this needs a specialist. This needs a specialist. And I just so happened to know somebody who was the man for the job. Anyway, let's turn to your questions, right? So we're going to go for about 10 minutes. I know we're running late, we're running on, but hey, we did have all those hiccups at the start. So I want to make sure you guys get some good value out of this. So first of all, I want to take this opportunity to wish a belated happy birthday to my friend Craig. Craig, I'm really sorry I missed your birthday, man. The lifting was good. It was good. I came dead last in my class, but that's okay. There were some monsters there. For those of you who don't know, I'm a recreational powerlifter, and I had my first competition on Saturday. It was the Yorkshire Northeast Powerlifting Novice Competition. I don't know where these monsters came from. I think I had the second biggest deadlift in my class behind the guy who won. But like some of the numbers these people were putting up were absolutely insane. But it was a great experience, really, really good experience. I totaled 570 in the 105s, if that means anything to anyone, which I'm pretty proud of. I'm okay with that. And I also did it all in a PRS Guitars t-shirt. Story behind that is apparently I didn't realize that you have to wear stuff. Well, I knew you had to wear stuff that's approved by the federation, right? So the Powerlifting Federation is the IPF, it's the International Powerlifting Federation, and everything you wear on the platform has to be approved by the federation, And I bought all the approved gear apart from a t-shirt. I thought any t-shirt would be fine, but apparently it's not. So I turned up wearing a t-shirt with my band's logo on, and the lovely lady who was checking, she was great, but she was checking all the gear. She's like, you can't wear that. What are you talking about? It's a t-shirt. It's like, no, that's not a sponsor. I'm like, you're kidding. I have to wear stuff with like a sponsor's logo. She's like, yeah, if you're going to wear something with a logo, it's got to be a sponsor's logo. I'm like, oh my God, you are kidding me. You're absolutely kidding me. So I went through my t-shirts. I'm like, what about this one? She's like, no, that's not it. And then I was like, what am I going to do? Are they not going to let me compete because I haven't got a t-shirt that's either plain or has a sponsor? And then I reached into the bottom of my gym bag and I had a green PRS Guitars t-shirt. And I said, hey, what about this? And she's like, are they a sponsor? I'm like, actually, yes. I'm a PRS Guitars artist. So I did my whole powerlifting meet in my PRS t-shirt. It's very cool. I really enjoyed it. So anyway, listen, that was a happy birthday shout out to Craig. Craig's a great guy. Everybody wish him happy birthday in the comments. Unfortunately, I missed it because I was picking up heavy objects. Anyway, let's talk about some questions. First question, this is coming. Here we go, Live to Play Guitar. Great username, right? I love the sentiment. We're really into that. Says, do you plan out your picking ideas? No, but yes. Okay, so I don't necessarily have picking ideas that I'll call upon in the sense where I'm going to play this particular picking idea now. I tend to be a little bit more switched off when I'm improvising, and I tend to be a little bit more just let it flow. Like I'm kind of the belief that you're going to play what you're going to play. So you sit down to play something on a given day, you should just let it flow out of yourself. You shouldn't overthink too much what it is that you're playing. However, I do plan out picking ideas quite a lot in practice. And the way I practice stuff is I'll explore ideas, and if something's cool, I'll play it until it becomes part of what I do. So an example might be, let me think of an example. You got me thinking about picking stuff now. So maybe an example might be something where I might play. Yeah, that one. That's quite a good one. I play that all the time. Something like that. That is an idea that I absolutely have planned out, but not really deliberately. It's just something that I started playing that sounded cool. It was born of, this is an example of how my brain works with this stuff. It was born of an idea of what happens if I use hybrid picking when I go this way, and if I use economy picking when I go this way. So I actually do that stuff. And another thing I'll do is I'll play maybe with like small ideas. Like maybe I'll play with the idea of, you know, the Eric Johnson fives thing. For those who don't know, the Eric Johnson fives thing is where we might play five. I play 5 notes, grouped as 2 notes on a string, 2 notes on a string, and then 1 note on a string, which might be something like this. So what I might do is I might be playing around with the idea of that little nugget, this. And I may just try and flow with it in different, I guess different scale shapes that work. So I might take something like this C Lydian pattern, for example. And I might try and like pentatonicize that Lydian. I guess it's not quite the way I would put it, but in terms of shapes, I might try and break it down as 2 notes, 2 notes, 1 note, so I can leverage that kind of. Let's maybe do that at speed. It's quite hard to do out of context. There's another one. There's another little nugget of things that I'm doing. I'm going to make a point of not breaking this down on camera too much for you, but I guess the question is, I do, but also I don't. I don't in the sense that I don't have sequences that I deliberately call out to myself when I'm playing, like, hey, play fives. But I do in the sense that I set aside time to practice specific things, but I never really premeditated. It's normally something that just comes to me while I'm practicing. I'll stumble onto an idea and go, that's cool, let's refine it. Or I may do, hey, what would happen if? Like, what would happen if I did hybrid picking and then economy picking in this direction? That's an example. So I kind of do, but I kind of don't. I realize it's a very vague question. Let's do some more questions. So this is kind of an interesting one right here. It says, do you like playing from our friend Mal Riley, great name. Do you like playing 2-note octave chords with a dead string between them, like Hendrix, Eric Johnson, etc.? I absolutely do. I mean, there's a few ways we can skin this. So we're talking about this sort of idea. Absolutely love that stuff. Now, a way that you may think about this, for those of you who aren't kind of necessarily familiar with this, is if you wanted to develop some of that stuff, it can be as simple as practicing with just like banning a string. So the way we can do this is you can randomize your practice with maybe a dice. Like, luckily the guitar has 6 strings, and a conventional 6-sided dice is really easy to get hold of. If you roll a dice and you just ban a string, maybe you roll a 3 and you go, okay, G string's off limits, and you challenge yourself to play through some chord ideas or even some chord melody ideas or even some arpeggios without using a particular string, you can really create some cool results. I also really like it for this sort of thing, these kind of I guess the Eric Johnson type chord voicings, these great fun. Now that's something slightly different. That's more, I would think of that more as a spread voiced triad, and maybe I'll do some lessons on that in the future, because that's a really deep topic to get into. So yeah, that's a cool one. Second Note is tuning in. I believe a new commenter, if not a new viewer, a new commenter. There's, have you heard of a guy called Conrad Snook? I actually haven't. So what I want to know from you, dear friend Second Note, is what should I listen to by Conrad Snook? Drop me a track or maybe an album. I love finding new players, right? I love finding new players. So yeah, I'd love to hear about Conrad Snook, but I do not know him. I absolutely do not know him. Again, we've got some comments about string skipping, spread triads. Now, spread triads more than string skipping. It is. Depends how you articulate it, but string skipping is a weird one, because me and Nick Harrison agree on this. String skipping, I don't know why it's a thing. I don't know why people think about string skipping as some kind of thing, as if there was a rule that you always have to play strings that are next to each other, and if you don't, it's somehow weird and special. I'm like, don't get it. Don't get it. Oh, here we go. He's a guitar player and a powerlifter as well. Ah, sick. Okay, there you go. There is limited crossover between these two audiences, but I'm 100% going to check him out now. I'm not just going to check that out. I'm going to check his lifts out. Bet he's probably stronger than I am, but hey, you know, I'm just new to the game. I'm getting there. But that's really cool, man. I'm interested in that. I'll check that guy out for sure. So the string skipping thing real quick, because that's an interesting thing. To me, I don't see why you would necessarily consider string skipping as some kind of like special idea where you like it's just playing. You know, like if you've ever played something like this, for example, if you ever played, is that string skipping? Maybe, or maybe something like this. Because we're string skipping there, but is it when we get to stuff like this where we're playing the because we're playing lots of notes and skipping strings? Is that it? Genuine question, because I've done this too, right? I've done the whole trip with like the Paul Gilbert dude, where I have you the string skipping arpeggios, etc. I learned all the Nuno licks because I'm huge fans of both these players. I'm not going to fight them. So I'll fight with PG and Nuno. No, I don't think I'd win. I don't think I'd win against one of them. I love another fighter. Anyway, but I've done all that. What's that solo from again? That's the... Love those licks. They are just monstrous, right? Absolutely dig them. Absolutely dig them. But to me, string skipping, I mean, it's just guitar playing, right? I don't know. Ah, He-Man Woman Hater, it is. It's a pretty bad rendition of it, to be fair. I should brush up on that stuff before I try and play them in front of you people, but you're lovely. The lot of you. You're all great, right? So I know I don't need to be worried about taking risks. That's part of the fun of playing guitar. We shouldn't be worried about making mistakes. Anyway, oh man, we got so many lovely comments coming in, by the way. Look at that. You're amazing, by the way, says Holy Terminator. Man, you're amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's really kind. That's really, really kind. We've got some lovely cool comments coming in. Just want to hit on this very quickly, right? This is an interesting one from my friend Mal Riley. I wish I could play them being pinched harmonics with the neck pickup tone, but they don't sound so well. I wanted to talk about this because I said I would. One of the reasons that pinched harmonics don't pop out in the neck pickup so well. So if we think about harmonics and what they are, when we play a harmonic, we're essentially dividing the string into a fraction of itself. So if we take a look at a 12th fret harmonic, let's go to the close-up cam so we can see. 12th fret harmonic is exactly half the distance between here and here, right? Like this. There's 12. That is half the distance between here and here. It's an optical illusion because the frets get smaller, so we think it isn't, but it is in fact halfway between the nut and the bridge. Now if you play a 7th fret harmonic, that's dividing the neck into thirds. There's another one here that's at the same pitch. Now, when we divide this way, both pickups are on the short side of the division. They're both on this side of the division. However, when we play pinched harmonics, if, for example, I play a pinched harmonic here, and I find the 12th fret note, let's say I'm going to play this 15th fret note here, and I'm going to play right here with a pinched harmonic. That was a good guess. Pretty familiar with PRS guitars though, so that's nice. That note is divided in half right here, which is why it jumps out by 1 octave, but you'll notice that the neck pickup is on this side of my pick, whereas the bridge pickup is on this side of the pick. And that's one of the reasons why pinched harmonics don't jump out so well in the neck pickup, because the pickup is on the wrong side of where the string's being divided. And that's really it. That's really the only answer. So that's why neck pickups don't produce pinched harmonics quite so well. They still do. They absolutely still do. But that's part of the reason. Anyway, listen, guys. We have run up to the 1 hour 30-minute mark. We are soon going to get kicked off, but thank you so much for having me. My name is Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive and GI+. Thanks for sticking around through all the technical difficulties at the start. I am going to play just a wee little bit more because I've been chatting to the guys when we had that little moment, we fixed some stuff. I promised I was going to play them some blues, because they like a bit of blues. So we'll play some blues. You are free to jam over the top of me. We're going back to that slow blues in B, because I love me playing some blues, especially a slow blues. Slow blues is great. We'll play some of that, and then we'll come back next week with a fully working live stream, 8 p.m. UK time. You know the deal. In the meantime, if you've had some fun with us this evening, you've enjoyed the stream, you've enjoyed what we've been talking about, you can support us in a bunch of different ways. You can sign up to GI Plus. You get loads of amazing lessons for very little dollar in the grand scheme of things. You can share this with your guitar playing friends. You can tune in next week. It's a good way to support us. You can give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, etc., etc., etc. You know the drill. My name is Nick Jennison with Guitar Interactive. I will see you next week. In the meantime, here's some blues. Signature lick at the end. My name is Nick Jennison with Guitar Interactive, GI Plus. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. My name's Nick Jennison, and it's a pleasure to introduce to you GI Plus, the brand new lesson platform brought to you by Guitar Interactive. We've assembled a team of the best players and educators in the world to bring you exclusive lessons covering everything from metal to blues to fusion and everything in between. Want to level up your shred chops? Check out How to Play Fast by Andy James. Or how about sweep picking with Rick Graham? Or maybe country's more your bag? Well, how about a full-length exclusive country guitar course from Andy Wood? Interested in learning how to play over changes? Well, members get access to hours of exclusive lessons from Fusion Maestro Tom Quayle. Or maybe you want your playing to sound more soulful. Well, who better than Chris Buck to show you how it's done? Or perhaps you want to learn the secrets of the masters. Well, members get access to over 60 feature-length tech sessions where our tutors painstakingly decode the styles of players like David Gilmour, Eddie Van Halen, John Petrucci, Larry Carlton, Slash, Tosin Abasi, Paul Gilbert, and many more. You get all this along with exclusive live webinars, free backing tracks, competitions, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for GI Plus today.